One of the questions that I get the most when I'm either being interviewed or being considered, someone's considering hiring me as their doula, is why did you become a doula? Or just once I tell people what a doula is, if they didn't know, they're like, well, how did you even get into that? I don't understand. And so I'm going to attempt to answer that question, and hopefully I can do it in one video. And if not, we'll just keep the conversation going. So I will back all the way up to the age of 13 when I started my mens. I would say it was a hot mess. And I suffered a lot of symptoms up until, I don't know, like 20 years, I don't know, 20s or something like that. But basically, as a teen, I would faint. I was extremely anemic. I would get lightheaded and dizzy. I would see spots and all that kind of stuff, like when I started my meds. And I basically put up with that for a long time. When I was in my early mid 20s, well, I'll say this. In 2002, I stopped eating fast food. That was, no one told me I need to stop eating fast food. I didn't read it. I didn't read any information on stopping eating fast food. I hadn't known about YouTube or health websites or any of that. I mean, I wasn't really even on the internet that much then. But it was just something intuitively in me was like, this is making you sick. This is making you sick. So I was like, okay. And then another thing, it was like I had started grocery shopping for myself. So I started to realize, how much does meat cost? How much does vegetables cost? How much does bread cost? How much does potatoes cost? And I was like, hold up. I was like, if it costs me such and such amount of money to buy this meat and such amount of money, like, how can you make me anything for 99 cents? How can you make a sandwich for 99 cents? And I understand that you're mass producing and that you're getting a good bulk rate on everything. I understand that. But still, in my teenage mind, I could not comprehend how anybody could make a sandwich for 99 cents. So I said, whatever is in this sandwich, it must not be good quality food, because it's impossible to buy quality food and serve something for 99 cents. So I was like, I'm not going to eat off the 99-cent menu. I'm not going to eat off a no fast food menu. I'm done with this. I need to get well for myself. And so I stopped eating fast food and I started venturing into cooking whole foods, making my own food. I didn't jump into vegetarianism, but I started cooking my own foods, going to the grocery store or going to restaurants and eating real whole live foods. Okay, so then fast forward on, and then I meet a sister who introduces me to, a shout out to Aliyah Frazier. Shout out, sister. I met the sister who introduced me to red raspberry. She introduced me to organic food. She introduced me to holistic living, all types of different herbs. And I just started to gravitate towards that. I said, okay, well, I'm sitting up here suffering with these horrible periods and I don't have to. I can take these herbs and eat well and do organic, and I can get rid of that. So then I stepped into that. Then as time progressed, I discovered Queen Afua's Sacred Woman. And that was a total life changer for me. I mean, it was a total and complete life changer. Like, there are certain things that I've incorporated from Sacred Woman that are just a part of me. They're part of my everyday living, and they keep me alive. They keep me healthy. They keep me full of vitality and life. And so all the different symptoms that I was experiencing, I started to reverse those things through living the Sacred Woman way, through incorporating herbs and everything like that. Now, I had suffered for what, like 10 years of craziness and foolishness and anemia. The anemia had gotten so bad that my doctor referred me to a hematologist, a specialist in blood. And it was also something crazy going on with my white cells, my white blood cells. And the hematologist was like, you are so anemic. I don't even know how you're not like falling out at work. You are like extremely anemic, and we need to probably, they put me on a prescription iron pill, and they were like, we really think that it's time to give you a blood infusion of iron, and you can come in regularly and get the infusion. And I was like, I don't want to do that. So why don't you give me like 6 weeks and let me work on me, and I'm gonna come back, and then you could take your samples again and we'll see where I'm at. And he was like, okay, I'll give you 6 weeks. And I was like, okay, dope. So I went home and I just started looking into things that were rich in iron, and I just started to incorporate all that. And then also, how could I increase my iron absorption? It's not even just about intaking iron, it's about combining iron with other minerals that is going to allow your body to actually metabolize and absorb and make the iron more bioavailable. So I started to research all of that, and I juiced a lot. I juiced a lot of beets. I juiced a lot of spinach. I juiced a lot of kale. I would drink that every day, as well as taking whole foods multivitamins, taking herbs and the like. And I went back 6 weeks later, and he was like, whoa, it's like doubled. Like you're not quite in the safe zone, but you're like right almost at the safe zone. And I'm really like flabbergasted because you were so anemic. And I was like, dope. So if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm gonna be in the safe zone. And he was like, yeah, come back in 6 weeks and we'll see again. So I kept on my regimen, and I went back 6 weeks later, and I was in the safe zone. I was like right above where I should have been. I was like right within that range. And I was just like, wow, so I don't really even need the iron infusion. I really just didn't want to like have to go somewhere and like have something hooked up to me it's like you become dependent on that stuff, on these medical interventions. Like with the dialysis and all that, it's like, your body just will stop even trying because it's going to become dependent on the technology. I just didn't want to do that. So, every single time I would discover a new way to heal myself, I can look, even now, I can look at a woman and just look her up and down, and I can see what's going on with her. I can see if she's having bad periods. I can tell if she's stressed out. Just even analyzing her relationships and everything like that, I can tell what's going on with her reproductively. And I can really see myself in so many other women. And I just think that because we've gotten to a point where we don't have a rites of passage, there's no older women really walking you through any of these experiences to tell you how to heal yourself. You just sort of haphazardlessly experience these things, and then you think that you have to suffer. And I just think like, oh yeah, my period's horrible, I have to suffer, I have to have cramps, I have to have bloating, I have to have anemia, I have to have stress, I have to have constipation, I have to have irritable bowels, I have to have, all of these different things. It's like once I discovered the knowledge, I realized, oh, I don't have to suffer. Like I can have a wonderful life. Why didn't somebody tell me that at 13? Why didn't anybody tell me? And I just want to tell anybody who will listen to me, any woman that will give me 5 seconds of her time, I will tell her, sister, you do not have to suffer. Sister, I'm telling you, you don't have to suffer. And so a friend of mine that I was dating sent me a link to a video called The Legacy of the Black Midwife. And I eventually, so let me back up. So I watched the video, and it was this really dynamic woman that I had never known anything about ever in my life. Her name is Shafia Monroe. And she's a midwife, and she was doing this conference, and she was educating on the legacy of the rural South Black midwife. And I just thought it was so amazing. I was like, wow, that's my legacy for real. Like I didn't even know. Like I knew a little bit, but she broke it down so plain. I'm just so intrigued, like, wow, that's who I am, because I'm a Southern woman. Wow, I was just feeling so proud and so amped up and just so ready to just make a difference, because I had already known how to heal the womb naturally. So it was just a natural progression to say, okay, when a woman's ready to give birth, she can also do that naturally. And just all the contradictions with what was going on in the hospital, I started looking at all these different procedures, things that were just crazy and cockamamie. I started looking into how we treat women during the most vulnerable time of her life. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's so much travesty, there's so much mismanagement, there's so much abuse happening when this is supposed to be the time where we're treating her the most delicate. We're really treating her really harsh and very inhumane. And then we wonder why we're in the situation that we're in. Well, how are our babies being born? And honestly, I could say, he was like, you should look into being a midwife. You should look into that. And I was like, no, that's a really big responsibility. That's somebody else's responsibility. That's somebody that can be, I was just like, I told him, okay, yeah, whatever, like, just to get off my back or whatever. But I'm thinking in my head, like, that's a huge responsibility to be responsible for somebody's baby, pregnancy, blood, guts. I mean, that's a big deal. I'm just on the herb side. I'm not really, so I really didn't take it like, I was kind of intimidated by the idea of being a midwife. And I was intimidated by the idea of being with a woman and walking her through pregnancy, labor, delivery, birth, postpartum. But as I continued to research, it was just so fascinating to me how I'm a common sense person. I'm very common sense in most every form of everything you can imagine. 1 + 1 is 2. I'm very common sense, very scientific, very mathematical. So when I started saying, oh, so if you stand up right, it'll be easier for you to give birth. Yeah, duh. I mean, that makes sense. But yet in the hospital, you're encouraged to lay horizontally and push up and push horizontally. To me, that was crazy. It wasn't common sense. So as I started to look into more and more, like, okay, well, there's a hormone called oxytocin, and this hormone runs through your body, and it helps you, deliver birth. It helps you go through labor and deliver your baby and bond with your baby, and you're breastfeeding. But then we dilute the oxytocin with IV fluids. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And then I learned, like, oh, you need energy from carbohydrates and everything else in order to even do birth. But I'm like, oh, in the hospital, we don't even let you eat or drink. Wow, that's crazy. Like, so many different things that I thought were common sense, we're not doing, like, on a massive scale. It's just not happening. And I really like the same feeling that I had when I learned that you don't have to suffer through your reproductive phase of life. When you're going through your mens, you don't have to suffer through your labor and delivery. And then I also further learned from a lot of indigenous women, you don't have to suffer through menopause. All of that is just prefabricated craziness. It's almost like just because something is rampant doesn't mean it's normal. Just because it's rampant doesn't mean it's normal. You don't have to suffer through period. You don't have to suffer through a crazy pregnancy and delivery. You don't have to suffer through menopause. And I just really took it on like, I need to let women know, as many women as I can. So that's my daily meditation. That's my yearly meditation. That's my lifelong meditation and calling. I have to let the sisters know that there's another way to live, and you can be happy, you could be healthy, you could be whole. And if you don't know how to do it, and if no one ever taught you, I can share with you the tools. I can walk with you. I can be your companion through this whole process so that we can continue to heal together and continue to heal as a community. So once it just became more accessible to me, and I thought, okay, well, what could be a vehicle by which I can work with sisters on this information? And then as I started to research Shafia Monroe more and her organization called the International Center for Traditional Childbearing, I realized that they did doula trainings. And I was like, whoa, so it's a sister that does these trainings, and she's going to train us in the ways of the Black midwifery model of care. Whoa, that is so dope. Like, can I sign up now? Like, I was like, I don't care. I don't want to wait until she's coming to me. Like, I'm going to go to her. So I went to Oregon and I took the training, and it's just amazing. I mean, I already knew before I even did it, like, this is what I'm going to do. This makes sense. I transitioned out of my 9-to-5 job, where I was very successful. It wasn't like I was extremely successful at what I did, but there was a missing piece. There was I just wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't living my calling. So there's always this schism. Like I couldn't dress. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't feel comfortable to dress like how I dress now. You know, like an African woman, a traditional woman, an indigenous woman. Um, I didn't feel comfortable to say the things that were really on my mind. I was really always caught between a rock and a hard place in terms of being one of the only African women ever, always, and no matter whatever setting I was, whether it been at work or whether it been at an event or networking or whatever. And so I already knew this is what I want to do. I don't get tired of it. I mean, it's the first thing I think about when I wake up. It's the last thing I think about before I go to sleep. And it's what I dream about. I dream about helping women live healthily, especially, and I feel like through the womb, we can heal the body. So I just wanted to spread the gospel of holistic health and to accompany a woman through her pregnancy, her labor, her delivery, her postpartum is the most sacred, intimate, special honor that you could ever have. And so I'm just so honored to when women choose me to walk with them through their journey. And there's just so many different goals that they have. And to be able to help them define that and to give them the tools and the resources to welcome their baby in a peaceful manner is just, it's just truly divine. So I know that's a very like roundabout way to get to like how I became a doula and why I was even interested in it. But that's basically what it was. So, you know, huge inspirations for me are always Queen Afua and the Sacred Woman and Heal Thyself and all of the different tools the Sacred Woman has to offer. Just big, big, big major ups to Queen Afua. She's like a walking legend and we're just lucky to even have her in our midst. Shafia Monroe, big ups to her and the International Center for Traditional Childbearing, and all my divine contemporaries, all the women who are around me, who have committed themselves to birth. They inspire me. I learn from them. I grow with them. And it's just a beautiful thing. All my clients, every single woman I talk to, I have something to share with her. I have something to give her, but she always has something to give me. And she inspires me. Every single challenge, every single thing, every single obstacle. It's just like what people ask me, what's your birth philosophy? Like that's a question. I guess it's on the internet. People ask the doulas, like, what's your birth philosophy? I help all kinds of women. Women who are from the most natural love. I want to have my baby at home. I barely even want you there. I almost want to do this by myself. All the way to I'm going to the hospital. I want everything possibly that they could possibly offer me. I help people all every level in between that. I'm not the jump down your throat type of doula. I'm a let me hold your hand. Let me show you some information. And like let me let you you make the choice because I can't make the choice for you. You make the choice, but I will make sure that you have the information and you are over prepared. That is my thing. But my birth philosophy is flexible. Flexible. Um, I have to be able to adapt. I don't know how labor is gonna progress. I gotta be ready. I have to be prepared to work with whatever comes my way. Whatever nurse is on shift, whatever doctor is on shift, whatever midwife shows up, whatever the contractions are feeling like, looking like, causing. I have to be flexible in order to respond and meet those challenges. So that's my birth philosophy. So what can I say? I'm just extremely, flexible. One thing you learn being a doula is to go with the flow of life. I make plans all the time. I make plans, but when a baby wants to come, that becomes my plan. When something happens in the situation, we might be planning for this, but then this happened. We got to change all the plans. So, flexibility is key. And so it's just an honor to be of service, to be a birth assistant, a pregnancy coach, a labor companion, a breastfeeding educator, a prenatal dance instructor, fertility, herbal, and womb health consultant. It's beautiful and it's divine, and I really appreciate your support. Keep checking us out, subscribe to the page, and we'll just keep building and sharing and connecting. Peace and love.